In this video, I want to talk you through my process when it comes to recording parts for songs. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in once again. If you're new around here, don't forget to hit the like button and hit that subscribe button and notification bell to keep updated with the latest from the channel and when I go live. So in this video, I want to talk about, well, what I've been doing, what I've been up to, and try and use some of the things that I've been working on to give you guys a bit of insight into my process when it comes to playing bass parts, recording bass parts, that sort of thing. In this video, I am going to be playing a bass part, recording a bass part for a demo that I have done or I am working on. So those of you who know a bit more about me, I produce and songwrite as well as play bass. So this is one of the songs that I am currently demoing to make into a full kind of production demo that I could then potentially send off for publishing, for people to pick up and use as a song for themselves. And yeah, just to get it cut by different artists. So the song I'm going to work on at the minute is a song called Hometown, which I wrote with a songwriter called Roisin McNeil. And the track is pretty much in its infancy. The vocal take is the first vocal take from just doing a quick little acoustic demo after we'd written the song. And I'm slowly just building it piece by piece, so there is a full track eventually. So don't go too harsh on the vocal and stuff. It's just a simple little take that I've done, and the drums are played by a drummer called Robin Alexander. So what I'm going to do is just show you and talk you through what I'm thinking while I'm trying to record the part. So that will be, you know, playing through the song, we'll play it through. I'll just kind of listen and give you kind of pointers of things that I would maybe be looking out for to do on a session if it was in a live session with other people, and yeah, just run you through the thought process as much as the actual playing, and then I'll play a part and just show you kind of some of the things that I might do come the final take, or maybe in different takes, how you can give someone options, particularly nowadays when often you'll record a part and send it remotely to someone. You maybe want to do a couple of takes that are slightly different and that give a different feel or a different idea, so that they have the option, don't have to come back to you and say, oh, actually, I wasn't really thinking that, can you play it entirely differently? It makes your life easier and you just do it all at once and send it off. Or indeed when you're just in the studio and someone says, oh, I want something different, some of the ideas and ways you can make things different and differentiate things. So I'm using my Fender Custom Shop Precision Bass, 59 Custom Shop P Bass, with Dunlop nickel wound strings on it. The tone is slightly rolled back from the top, probably about 75% of the way up. And I'm going into the Neve preamp, or the Warm Audio Neve style preamp that I have done a video on recently on my channel. If you haven't seen that, go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description to that. And then that is going into the Warm Audio 1176 style compressor. Again, I've done a video on 1176 style compression recently as well, so you can check that out, and I'll leave a link to that one as well. And then it goes straight into this MTA desk right here, which is an MTA 990 desk, and just going through on line level, so not getting too much from the desk really. It just gets a little bit of character, a little bit of fullness and body and colour from the desk, and that goes straight into Logic Pro. So I'll play through the song and just talk through some of the things I might be looking out for.
Just wanna get away, ride my car up to that place where we used to meet, halfway between you and me.
So far there's nothing coming in, it's just the acoustic guitar and the vocal. So typically I pretty much stay away from playing in there, and it's likely that if you're on a session the producer's going to say the same. But if that's kind of what you're faced with, typically most songs they're going to want you not to really play anything there, and just let the vocal and acoustic do its thing and introduce the song. So that's what I'm going to do here as well.
Beyond the hill looking down, it kinda looks like a different town. It's not what it used to be, kinda just like me. I guess some people.
So there we're into the chorus, and again it's not really kicked off, so that says to me that probably don't need to be doing much in there. Maybe we might want to put a couple of root notes in there just to add a little bit of something, but not much more. And maybe we might want to think about playing them a little bit higher up to give a bit more of a lyrical quality, rather than just kind of big fat notes that kind of say, oh, we're going somewhere bigger, and we're not.
Never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown.
So there the drums come in, and it's probably pretty much likely, almost inevitable, that the bass wants to come in there, and that's what I want the track to do as well, personally, for this one. So the bass will come in there just after that first chorus. Things to think about: what kind of time signature are we in? Is there anything being heavily accented that we need to think about accenting? Things like that. We'll just carry on the playthrough.
Ghosts everywhere, they all grew up here. Down the street there's the same old house we never knew anything about. We're not supposed to break away. I always dreamt that one day, still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess I'll be.
So things to look out there is a stop. So that's worth keeping in mind. Keeping in mind the structure, there's a little bit of an intro there for when the instruments come in, so there's space to, you know, make a statement, start developing the idea, developing the part, and yeah, keeping that stop in mind so that before that second chorus, the whole band's nice and tight and not playing over that stop.
Never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out.
Kick drums are really important to keep in mind. What's happening with that kick drum? What's the rhythm? And then making our part, linking with that, thinking about that.
That the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown.
So that's the end of the chorus. Then we're into a bridge section. Thinking about the harmony here, it's changed out of the progression we were in. It's shifted up to the relative minor.
Of my hometown. Of my hometown.
Vocals fairly sparse. There's space to maybe embellish and start moving a bit more, give something there musically.
Of my hometown. I guess some people never wanna.
Drop down again. Typically you're not going to want to put anything in there really. Maybe you want to be putting something in up on the high end of the neck just to give a little bit of another lyrical quality. But that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute.
I leave the hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out.
Classic half of the chorus is down, and then we're going back in with a full chorus here.
That the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown. Of my hometown.
And there we go, that's the song. So we had the little breakdown, half of the chorus, then we have a full chorus, or as in a big last 8 bars of chorus, and then a classic 4-bar outro. So on the outro, probably not going to be needing much, and you want to be making sure that we're really adding something in that last little section of chorus. So one of the things I like to do all the time and think of regularly is how the pitch of the bass and what I'm playing on the bass is affecting everything else in terms of feel and mood. Quite often, if we're playing higher up on the bass, high up in the higher registers, that's giving it a smaller quality. You're not playing big root notes and you're not expanding the texture and the depth of the song. So you're not making the low end lower and the high end higher. You know, the distance between that gets bigger if you play lower notes. Whereas if you play higher up the neck, you're kind of blending up in with everything else and making everything feel smaller. I think that's something really important to consider when you're playing. And one of the ways you can add different colours to sections in songs is by not necessarily always staying down in the kind of root position, but playing up a little bit, playing notes that are higher up at points where it's quieter, so that the texture of the song does this as we play all the way through. So it might start big for an intro, or it might be a small intro that then gets big in the chorus, and then the verse comes back down a little bit, and then the next chorus, and then the bridge, and maybe you want to get even bigger or as big as that chorus, and then maybe down again for that little interlude section, and then that last chorus nice and big. And I do that really with pitch. So if I want to make a really big statement, sometimes on a 5-string I might hit the low C at the very end of a song to kind of be the biggest moment of the song, and in those little bridgy sections I might want to play it up above the 12th fret a little bit more melodically, to kind of just let the whole song just contract a little bit and then expand again. So that's something that I use a lot, and something I was kind of alluding to when I was talking about playing in the different sections. There are different ways you could approach this in general. I think it kind of wants a little bit of space. It doesn't want too much going on. I don't think it necessarily wants thundering root notes or anything. One of the ways you could look at it is that there's kind of a clave throughout. So there's a da 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 feel, and maybe you could play that through if you wanted to. On the root notes, it could be kind of a. But I don't feel that this song really kind of wants that kind of drama. That's a bit too dramatic for this one. I think it kind of wants a bit more of a lock in with the kick drum. But let's go through, I'll play some different versions of verses and choruses and things, and some of the options you can do, as well as giving you an idea of what I think is right for this song. Obviously there's no right and wrong, and I am not Lee Sklar, I'm not Nathan East, I'm not Michael Rhodes, but this is just kind of what I would do with this kind of thing. So the first thing before I hit record is just going to tune. There we go, the instrument is in tune. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through each section and just play what I think is kind of the right part and just give an idea, and hopefully put it all together. Typically I'd want to do it as one take, but I think it's best to, for this, go through and just give examples of different things you could do in each of the sections. So I'm going to skip the intro because we're not doing anything there. So this is starting at the chorus. So we have two options here. We could either leave it completely empty and do nothing, or maybe we could try and drop in some of those high notes like I was talking about. So I'll just give you an example of some of those high notes and melodic ideas.
It's not what it used to be, kinda just like me. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown.
So that's one idea. I actually made a mistake in the middle of that, which I kind of played into something else. But sometimes that's cool and sometimes that happens, and sometimes you come out with something better for doing it. But yeah, that kind of an idea, playing up there, playing a nice little melodic line, something that kind of supports but has maybe a little bit of movement to just give some form of development. I think for me, I'm actually going to just leave that blank and not have anything in there, but that's an idea of what you could do with that. So I'm just going to mute that section and now look at the verse where the drums come in.
Of my hometown. star like a little.
So that's one way, just really locking in with the kick drum, keeping it super simple, nothing more than that. And then I'm going to do a slightly different take with something a little bit different maybe.
Of my hometown. Ghosts everywhere, they all grew up here. Down the street there's the same old house we never knew anything about. We're not supposed to break away. I always dreamt that one day, still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess some people.
Something like that maybe, a little bit different. I don't personally think that's right for this song, but it is an idea. I think that's a little bit too funky, a little bit too much to one side. I think it needs to be a little bit more like the first idea, keeping it quite simple, keeping lots of space for everything else to do the job. But that's kind of maybe a more bass player centric version of it. Kind of reminds me of the Glenn Hansard stuff from Warts, some of the bass playing in that. And then one last idea, though I don't think it suits this particularly, could be simply just a classic root note idea. So I'll just give it a little go.
Of my hometown.
So that's another idea. I don't think that's it. It suits perfectly. So I'm going to do my kind of total version of this verse as I think it should be. One thing I'm always just looking out for is anywhere I can link into the vocals, so any of the vocal melodies, any of the vocal rhythms, anything I can do there to kind of embellish it. There's a few little stops and tweaks in here that I think are quite cool to kind of emphasise if you can rhythmically. So I'll try and catch those as well on the way through.
Of my hometown. Ghosts everywhere, they all grew up here. Down the street there's the same old house we never knew anything about. We're not supposed to break away. I always dreamt that one day, still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown.
So that's kind of one idea for verse 2 and then into the second chorus. I think maybe that went a bit too funky. I think kind of going from the root to the fifth thing is a bit too much out there. I think just the rhythms of the emphasising the kick, the snare, and then that kick again rhythm is quite a nice little clave to keep going through. So I'm just going to go back and redo that chorus.
Still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown.
So a little bit of drift from the click there I noticed, which is just a number of different things, but that's cool. It's always good to give a bit of life to a track. Doesn't really matter if there's a bit of drift, as long as it all kind of jumps back on at some point. Pretty close, that little take. Just gonna do one more. I think I sometimes you get these ideas and I want to put them in, and sometimes you get them right, sometimes it's kind of a bit off. And in that one, I think I wanted to do a little bit of a semitone move up. It's something that I quite like to put into a line every so often. Just give it a bit of something that's a bit out there. Sometimes people like it, sometimes people don't. In a traditional kind of pop sphere, it's not really wanted, but sometimes you can get away with it and it sounds really nice. So here we go, here's one more take of chorus 2.
Still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown. Of my hometown. Of my hometown. Of my hometown. I guess some people.
So that's one way to go through that bridge, quite simple. I didn't quite nail what I wanted to do there, I think it can go a little bit more out because there's a lot of space, but the drums are doing quite a lot, so we don't want to get in the way of the drums too much. Keep the space there. I also kind of preferred the slide down into the start of that bridge rather than the little fill, because it gets out of the way of the drums, because with the drums you kind of want to just get out of the way actually, rather than that, which is what I was kind of planning to double it. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't, just depends. It's nice to have the option. So yeah, one more take of the bridge.
Hometown. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown. Of my hometown. Of my hometown. Of my hometown. I guess some people never wanna leave.
So that's decent take for the bridge, enough going on, a bit of movement, nothing too fancy, but enough to keep it developing and moving on. We're now coming into that quiet chorus, so we have two options here: play nothing and have a big impact as we come into the second half of that chorus, or play a little bit and just kind of edge in, and then we go probably just on the second half, so we're on the second set of lines in this chorus, and then when the full band is in, we want to give it a bit more than we did in the second chorus, so that there is a sense of development.
I leave the hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for small town people in a small town. And there's only one road if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown. Of my hometown.
So there we go, that was kind of perfect for me for the last chorus. I think it does exactly enough. It's got a bit more movement, so that last chorus we've got more going on than the first chorus, and that's giving us the last gasp of the song a bit more energy, gives everyone in the band a bit more energy. People are going to be a bit more free, feel a bit more relaxed with it when they're tracking their other parts. You're going to give a bit more to the song, and the bass really has the power to do that and kind of dictate how much is going on and how much is not. When the bass is busy, you know it's busy. So just adding that little bit more just gives it something for that last section of the song. I also then went straight to the outro. Just a little bit there. We don't have to necessarily have that could be chopped out in post, but I quite like just a little bit to just kind of somberly make its way back down all the way to the root note at the bottom and kind of conclude the song, resolve the whole song. I do tend to prefer to play the last note of the song right down the bottom to anchor it back to where it was, and yeah, that's what I've done there. So hopefully that's given you a few different ideas of how I approach recording bass parts for songs. I mean, I'm not Michael Rose, like I said, I'm not any of these big, huge session players, but I do play quite often in the studio and get quite a few remote sessions in. So I was just giving you my take on it. Okay, so here we go. Here's one last playthrough of the track. I've added a little bit of compression. I'll pop that up here. And I've added a bit of SSL G channel EQ. I've low passed it to about 8K, so I don't really think you need much above 8K on bass. And I have cut a little bit of 2K to give it a little bit of smoothness to the sound, a little bit deader. It's more of an Americana kind of country vibe, and that tends to work a little bit better for these kind of genres. You don't really want to hear the aggression and the gnarl of the bass, you just want to hear big, round, smooth bass tones. So here we go. This is from the second half of the first chorus.
Oh, don't wait for a small town, people in a small town. And there's only one road, if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown. Ghosts everywhere, they all grew up here. Down the street there's the same old house we never knew anything about. We're not supposed to break away. I always dreamt that one day, still thinking like I did, still wishing on a star like a little kid. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for a small town, people in a small town. And there's only one road, if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown, of my hometown, of my hometown, of my hometown. I guess some people never wanna leave their hometown. Same church steeple, finding God and finding out that the world don't wait for a small town, people in a small town. And there's only one road, if you wanna, gotta get out of my hometown, of my hometown.
So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it's been interesting to you. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions that you want to ask, send me those either via Instagram, which I'll link below me, into the DMs on there, or just comment below on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.